I stood in the crowded room, champagne flute in hand, the murmurs of my colleagues enveloping me. The annual marketing awards felt like a shining stage set for the exceptional, and I hoped for a chance to step into the spotlight. I had worked hard this year, endless nights perfecting campaigns while balancing both client expectations and the weight of my family's influence. Yet as I surveyed the sea of familiar faces, they felt distant, and I suddenly felt myself sinking. Then it happened. My manager announced my colleague, Jake, before swiftly transitioning to his accomplishments. "Let's not forget Sophia," she said, excitement lacing her voice. For a brief moment, my heart soared. But then she turned her attention back to Jake, praising him for surpassing targets. A wave of suffocation engulfed me, a tense reminder of my past. I lowered my head, pretending to examine the bubbles in my glass while the familiar pang of inadequacy flared up inside. Why do I always feel like I'm not enough? I thought, the question sticking painfully in my mind. As I stood there, I flashed back to family gatherings. Each accolade awarded to my brother became an echo of my struggles, his shining moments amplified by dismissive remarks from my mother. "Why can't you be more like your brother?" Her words had permeated every family event, leaving me feeling invisible and unworthy. I was a professional at work, yet here I was, that little girl again, lost in the shadows while my brother basked in the glow. The room around me seemed to fade, anxiety mixing with memories of applause reserved exclusively for him. I had always sought validation, yet it felt as distant as a dream. Among those festivities and exuberant laughter, my worth crumbled under the weight of familial expectations. A flicker of awareness sparked within me. This was not just an outburst of self-doubt, but a relic of childhood, a long-standing pattern that had pervaded my life. Deep breath. The notion of the shadow, introduced to me through Carl Jung's writings, floated in my mind, beckoning me to explore my hidden self. The realization dawned. In order to reclaim my worth, I needed to confront these neglected aspects of my psyche and bring them into the light. I swirled my champagne, its effervescence a metaphor for potential transformation. Perhaps acknowledging my shadows could reveal a flicker of self-acceptance buried below the surface. Sinking deeper into my thoughts, I pondered if I had the courage to embark on this journey, to embrace not just my achievements, but the emotions buried beneath. Today, I took my first step toward healing, to confront the shadows that have long defined my experience. As I navigated through the evening's celebrations, the warmth of the gathering began to fade, replaced by an overwhelming tide of childhood memories. Family gatherings came rushing back, each one intricately woven into the fabric of my childhood, underscored by feelings of inadequacy, a narrative that had defined me for years. I could almost hear the clinking of glasses and the laughter echoing in my mind, yet amidst the joyful noise, I felt a deep-seated disconnection. David, my brother, stood at the center of attention, the embodiment of success, his achievements outlined and glorified like golden leaves in autumn. Every Thanksgiving, every birthday dinner, he captured my parents' adoration, while I sat, silently, trying desperately to break through the barrier of invisibility that surrounded me. One memory stood out vividly among the rest. On one particular Thanksgiving, dinner was beautiful. Turkey glistening, family seated around the table, full of joy and camaraderie. My heart raced as I recalled my father encouraging David to share his latest success, the spotlight shifting entirely to him. "Everyone, listen to what David has accomplished." My mother's eyes sparkled with pride, her joy radiating toward him like a brilliant beam of sunlight. In that moment, I felt something deep within me shatter, a realization that love and approval were tethered strictly to performance. When I finally mustered the courage to share my own success, the attempt felt small against the backdrop of his accolades, and my voice trembled in the air. "I finished a big project at work," I whispered, my words consumed by the jubilant chatter that quickly returned to celebrating David. No applause or even acknowledgement. I felt like a shadow slipping through the cracks in the moment. Over the years, this pattern only deepened. I internalized the message that I was not enough, and painfully crafted beliefs cemented in my psyche. I must be perfect to be loved. My worth is based on approval, and I will always be the lesser child. Each family encounter felt like an unspoken competition, where I fell short, fostering a sense of worthlessness that clung to me like a second skin. In quiet moments, I often questioned myself. Why can't I just be enough? Each time the answers were elusive, buried beneath the heavy weight of unexpressed disappointment. I watched as envy for my brother seeped into my thoughts, a feeling I stifled, hoping nobody would notice. How could I feel this way about my own sibling? It exacerbated my guilt, especially in the face of his clear successes. Reflecting on these core memories, I recognized the wounded child within, me, desperately seeking validation and love. I envisioned her all alone at family events, wishing for recognition. It was the little girl who wanted her mother's gaze to linger a beat longer, the child who longed for approval but learned early that affection was conditional. As I turned these feelings over in my mind, a flicker of awareness ignited within me. This was more than a matter of self-doubt and pain. It was a deep-rooted pattern of history and emotional architecture that dictated my worth. I felt the instinctive urge to confront this long-embedded story and explore its roots. With each revelation came stronger resolve. Fueled by the insights from Jungian psychology, I began to see the potential for reclamation. I grabbed my journal, allowing the flow of thoughts to spill onto the pages, a tangible release of my inner world. I wrote about my mother's expectations, my brother's constant accolades, and how I felt unheard and unseen. In honoring these feelings, I was giving voice to my inner child, letting her know she was now seen. As I filled pages with memories, I consciously identified these limiting beliefs. I am not enough. I need to be perfect. My achievements define me. Writing them down felt strangely liberating, naming the shadows that had long haunted me. Each assertion stood as a challenge to the narrative I had accepted for too long, preparing to reframe my view of self-worth. In confronting these buried emotions, I began to see the shadow not just as an adversary, but as a crucial player in my journey, a part of me begging for acceptance and understanding. The more I recognized these past experiences, the more I felt empowered to redefine their significance in shaping my narrative. With intention, I told myself that these experiences and emotions were not shackles binding me, but stepping stones toward empowerment and healing. My childhood did not have to be a barrier to success. It could become a foundation for authenticity. I acknowledged that healing would be a continuous journey, but the act of acknowledging the pain would mark my first steps toward integration and wholeness. Perhaps now, through confronting the echoes of my past, I could finally illuminate the shadows that sought to keep me bound. It was time to rewrite my story, step into my true self, and embrace the entirety of who I was. Flaws, wounds, and all. After immersing myself in my journal, I felt a burgeoning curiosity about Jungian psychology. The concept of the shadow shifted from an intimidating term to an essential part of my identity that awaited exploration. This idea beckoned me to navigate a new map of self-discovery, revealing aspects of myself that had long been concealed. One evening, under the soft glow of my lamp, I opened Jung's book, eager for deeper insights. His words resonated profoundly. To integrate the conscious self, we must embrace our shadow. This encapsulated my feelings of inadequacy not merely as failures, but as a call to accept hidden parts of myself. Recognizing my buried emotions seemed to offer a path to reclaiming my self-worth. As I read further, vivid memories resurfaced, moments when I felt pressured to suppress my true feelings, especially toward my brother. From a young age, I internalized the belief that expressing negativity was unacceptable, leading me to grapple with constant comparisons. Family. Gatherings felt like competitions in which I always fell short, reinforcing the notion that something was inherently wrong with me. One memory pierced through the fog. After winning a school award, I brought home a trophy, only to have my mother say, "That's great, but did you hear about what David achieved?" That moment carved deep into my heart, reinforcing messages that my accomplishments would remain overshadowed. It echoed through the years, merging with my growing sense of shame and unworthiness. As I closed the book, tears streamed down my cheeks. I realized that my feelings of anger and frustration were not weaknesses, but valid emotions yearning for recognition. This understanding offered me the chance for self-forgiveness, allowing me to experience emotions I had long tried to avoid. Rather than shaming myself for feeling jealousy, I opted to approach those feelings with compassion, gradually transforming my internal narrative. With resolve, I set out to embrace my shadow. Inspired by Jung, I committed to dialogue with this part of myself, inviting the emotions I typically shunned into the light. Each day in my journal, I wrote, "I want to understand my shadow. I want to embrace every part of myself." This simple yet transformative pledge felt liberating. My first meditation focused on visualizing the shadow as a figure at the edge of a dense forest. As I approached this figure, I asked, "What do you want me to learn?" Each meditation brought feelings to the surface, initially shrouded in fear and anxiety, but gradually transforming into curiosity. I felt a shift as I engaged with the unseen parts of myself, paving the way for insight and growth. Some evenings, I experienced overwhelming sadness or anger, but rather than shy away, I recognized these feelings as integral expressions of my inner self. Acknowledging my anger allowed me to reclaim my personal power. Each encounter became an opportunity for understanding, growing into a profound acceptance of who I was, shadow included. As I bravely named the emotions I previously buried, my perspective evolved. Jealousy ceased to feel like a weakness. Instead, it became a catalyst for understanding my individuality. I learned to appreciate the unique attributes each family member brought to the table, including my own. Gradually, I shifted from viewing David's successes as reminders of my inadequacy to finding inspiration in them. The comparison eased as I realized we could both thrive in our own right. I started valuing my journey, understanding that while healing didn't erase my past, it allowed me to reinterpret its significance. With each journal entry and meditation, I reclaimed pieces of my lost self. I recognized my journey as an exploration filled with valuable lessons. Healing transformed from a daunting challenge to a continuous process enriched with insights and self-acceptance. I learned to perceive my past not as chains binding me, but as a foundation on which to build a renewed sense of self. I embraced this newfound perspective, acknowledging the unfolding journey of forgiveness and integration. I understood that the illumination of my shadow was paving a way toward embracing my entire identity, light and dark alike. As I honored my experiences and acknowledged every facet of my being, I felt a profound readiness to step into the light. This journey through self-discovery, born from Jung's teachings, ignited a passion within me, a passion to navigate the intricacies of my identity and emerge not merely from shadows, but as a whole, authentically empowered self. With my newfound understanding of the shadow, I felt an urgent desire to delve deeper into my emotional landscape. This journey, once daunting, transformed into an empowering quest for authenticity. Armed with insights from my journaling and meditation experiences, I was now ready to confront the hidden complexities that had shaped my behavior and perception of self-worth. One chilly evening, I found solace on my couch, cradling a warm cup of herbal tea. I closed my eyes, welcoming the calming embrace of meditation. In my mind's eye, the shadow figure I had encountered before emerged, appearing less foreboding and more like a guide, inviting me to reveal the deeper truths within myself. Today, I aim to explore the people-pleaser complex that had dictated so much of my life. I had spent years subordinating my own desires to please others, convinced that my value relied on their approval. It was time to unpack this complexity. I took a deep breath, inviting the figure forth, and asked, "What is your lesson regarding my need to please?" Almost instantly, an emotional wave surged through me as tears began to fall. I felt this complex expressing its truth. I believe love is conditional. If I don't make others happy, I am not worthy. This realization struck me like a thunderclap. I understood how deeply this belief was ingrained, stemming from childhood experiences where praise was often linked to performance. Remembering instances in school where I had shunned the spotlight to allow others to shine, I felt a mix of recognition and sorrow. My heart had longed for acknowledgement, yet I had denied it in favor of accommodating others. As tears streamed down my cheeks, I recognized that my feelings were valid. Instead of pushing them away, I allowed anger, disappointment, and frustration to surface, reclaiming my power. I had held on to these emotions for too long. Now I was ready to release them. After meditation, I resolved to act on these insights. I needed to dismantle the belief that my worth hinged on the approval of others. Each morning, I looked in the mirror and repeated affirmations. I am enough as I am. My voice matters. At first, I felt ridiculous, like I was putting on a show. But the more I practiced, the more these affirmations began to permeate my belief system. A pivotal moment arrived during a casual lunch at work. My colleague Jenna asked for help on a project that would infringe on my personal time. My instinct was to say yes, to prioritize her happiness. However, I paused, taking a deep breath, and heard my renewed inner voice, reminding me, your needs matter too. I can't take that on right now, I said, surprising both Jenna and myself. For a moment, silence enveloped the table. Then, to my shock, my coworkers nodded in support, offering words of encouragement. I felt I had crossed an important threshold, affirming my worth while inviting respect in return. With each experience, I began to untangle the threads that connected my self-worth to pleasing others. The once stark divide between honoring my needs and accommodating those around me began to blur. I shifted my perspective of David's successes. Instead of viewing them as painful reminders of inadequacy, I found inspiration in his achievements. The realization that we could both thrive in our own journeys lightened the emotional burden I had carried. As I journaled during this transformative period, I confronted limiting beliefs and celebrated small victories. Each entry became a testament to my evolution, a mosaic of past pains interwoven with newfound strengths and insights about my emotional landscape. I began to appreciate the value of each experience, understanding that they were lessons guiding me toward a more authentic self. I realized that my past experiences did not have to define my future. Rather, they formed the foundation on which I could rebuild my sense of self. Each challenging moment presented an opportunity for forgiveness and integration, compelling me to illuminate the shadows that had lingered too long. It was an invitation to embrace both light and dark aspects of my identity, not as opposing forces, but as integral parts of a whole. As the weeks passed, I increasingly felt my authentic self emerging from the shadows. I treasured my experiences, crafting a narrative that honored every facet of my journey, both the stumbles and triumphs. Each layer peeled back revealed the beauty in my evolution, uncovering a sense of belonging and connection to myself. This journey of inner diving ignited a powerful passion within me. I was hungry to explore the intricacies of my identity, to not merely emerge from the shadows, but to thrive as a wholly empowered self. With every breath, I approached each day with enthusiasm, ready to embrace who I was becoming. In this empowering exploration of self-discovery, I learned that healing is not a destination, but a continuous journey marked by growth, understanding, and a commitment to self-acceptance. Each step taken toward illuminating my shadow served to enrich my life and the relationships I fostered. As I embraced this newfound perspective, the healing process became a transformative force. I began cultivating connections that were deeper and more genuine, built on mutual respect and understanding. The illumination of my shadow paved the way for a broader comprehension of love, one that was not conditional or transactional, but rooted firmly in the acceptance of self and others in their entirety. Driven by the momentum of my journey, I felt hopeful. I had stepped into a beginning that held immense potential, promising not just personal growth, but a lifestyle that honored an unapologetically authentic self. My experiences were shaping my legacy, a testament to resilience, courage, and the profound beauty that emerges from embracing both the light and dark within. Each day was an invitation to discover not only who I was, but who I could become. As spring blossomed around me, marking a shift in seasons, I sensed a profound transformation within myself. It felt as if the cold grip of winter had finally released, revealing the vibrant landscape of my authentic self. What was once a tumultuous inner battle now emerged as a harmonious journey of self-acceptance. I had reached a pivotal juncture where I felt compelled to deepen my understanding of the many aspects of myself that I had unearthed. It was time to embody my commitment to authenticity. One sun-drenched afternoon, nestled in my favorite corner with a steaming cup of tea, I felt something shift. With my journal open, I wrote with decisive clarity. I am ready to embrace my authentic self, flaws and all. I choose authenticity over the quest for approval. This declaration culminated in a powerful decision to prioritize my truth as I navigated the complexities of relationships and life. Reflecting on past behaviors, especially how I had masked my desires to appease others, I recognized it was time to redefine my values. Living for external validation, no longer resonated with me. It was imperative to cultivate worth that stemmed from my own sense of self and to unwind the threads of people-pleasing that had entangled me for so long. With a surge of energy, I began drafting a personal manifesto. Each principle captured my commitment to boldness, vulnerability, self-compassion, and creative expression. Writing these values solidified a new foundation, one built not on fear but on the power of being true to myself. With my manifesto in hand, the time for action arrived. I focused on the quality of my relationships, both personal and professional, reassessing who I allowed into my life. Honesty and transparency would guide these connections. I gathered courage to express my journey to friends who had once unknowingly upheld my patterns of pleasing others. During a gathering one evening, I shared my discoveries, letting them know I intended to approach our friendships with authenticity. I appreciate your support, but I want to practice expressing my needs and feelings more honestly. I explained, my heart racing. To my delight, they embraced my vulnerability, expressing excitement for this new chapter. This moment revealed that opening up about my experiences could deepen our connections rather than diminish them. Next, I turned my attention to my family, a more complex endeavor. After much reflection, I knew it was time to confront the expectations that had impacted my self-worth. I invited my parents over for dinner, the atmosphere infused with nostalgia yet saturated with layers of complexity. As we shared a meal, I initiated the conversation. Mom, Dad, I need to talk about how your expectations shaped my sense of self. I want to discuss how I felt growing up. My voice trembled, but I pressed on, articulating how conditional love had crept into our relationships. Their expressions shifted from curiosity to understanding, each word I spoke weaving its way through their defenses. I didn't realize how my intentions affected you, my mother said, tears welling in her eyes. The conversation, though initially uncomfortable, opened a door to healing. In sharing my truth, I fostered a pathway toward renewed understanding and compassion in our family dynamics. Driving home that evening, an overwhelming sense of liberation washed over me. I had confronted my past with courage, and I could feel a new connection forming, not just with my parents, but within myself. It was as if a veil had lifted, inviting deeper appreciation for unconditional support. In the weeks that followed, I fully embraced my decision to lead a life grounded in authenticity. At work, I found my voice strengthened as I confidently shared my ideas in meetings. Projects that once seemed daunting became exciting opportunities for personal expression and creativity. As I presented my concepts, my enthusiasm began to resonate with my colleagues, creating a vibrant atmosphere of collaboration. I recognized that my commitment to authenticity rippled outwards, transforming not just my experience, but those around me. Colleagues began to respond positively. They admired my openness and willingness to embrace vulnerability. I discovered that authenticity was contagious, encouraging others to show up as their true selves as well. Simultaneously, I deepened my self-care practices. I engaged in creative writing, using it as a tool for catharsis and self-exploration. Artistic endeavors became outlets through which I could express my evolving identity, while yoga rooted me in my body, allowing me to reconnect with my inner self. The profound lessons I uncovered fostered a growing belief my worth could not be measured by the approval of others. This realization anchored my sense of belonging within myself, allowing me to cherish my friendships and family without losing sight of my own needs. Amid these changes, I nurtured my relationships further, finding opportunities to practice honesty and assertiveness with those I loved. I learned to communicate my needs openly, an exciting and rewarding experience. Every honest conversation added depth to my connections, transforming superficial exchanges into rich dialogues built on trust and respect. Gradually, my life became a tapestry, interwoven with threads of authenticity, compassion, and courage. Relationships blossomed, grounded in a mutual understanding that allowed us all to thrive. I discovered the beauty of love that is not conditional or transactional, but rooted in unconditional acceptance. Standing on the precipice of this new life chapter, I felt a profound sense of hope. I had stepped into a reality filled with immense potential, not just for personal growth, but for a lifestyle that championed unapologetic authenticity. Each experience, each revelation shaped the legacy I was carving for myself, a testament to resilience, bravery, and the beauty that arises from embracing both light and shadow. As I took a moment to breathe deeply, I recognized that each day was an invitation, not just to rediscover who I was, but to explore who I could become. The journey ahead promised challenges and triumphs alike, leading me to fully embrace the intricate tapestry of my identity. I was ready to navigate uncharted waters with confidence, having chosen a life infused with meaning, authenticity, and unyielding purpose. Each step forward not only reflected my past, but also illuminated the limitless possibilities that lay ahead. As each day unfolded, I felt my transformative journey blossom into a vibrant practice of freedom and authenticity. Gone were the days of merely surviving under the weight of others' expectations. I now reveled in the exhilarating embrace of self-discovery. This new understanding prompted me to actively shape my life, rather than passively float along the currents created by others. One bright Saturday morning, I nestled into my favorite cafe, a cozy corner draped in sunlight. With a steaming cup of chai in hand, I contemplated what practicing this newfound freedom truly meant. Immediately, I recognized that it was about engaging fully with life, creating meaningful connections, and stepping boldly into my own desires. Fueled by this realization, I began reassessing how I spent my time and energy. My first action was to reevaluate my career path. In conversations with my manager, I had expressed my enthusiasm for creative projects, but now it was time to take concrete steps. I scheduled a meeting with her, determined to articulate my vision for my role in the marketing team. In our meeting, I shared how my desire for creativity could translate into innovative campaigns. To my delight, she responded with enthusiasm, recognizing not just my potential, but the value of harnessing it for the larger goals of our company. It felt exhilarating. I was advocating for myself, transforming visions into actionable steps. This was the beginning of a new chapter, one where I could contribute authentically. With a renewed sense of autonomy, I dove into creative projects that lit a fire in my soul. I pitched ideas overflowing with inspiration and authenticity, infusing my work with personal passion. The projects blossomed, resonating deeply with clients and sparking positive feedback from my team members. I could feel the energy shift. Collaboration became more dynamic, and creativity flourished in this newly liberated space. Outside of work, I passionately sought to nurture my personal relationships by practicing honesty and openness. Each week, I engaged in deeper conversations with friends and family, sharing my journey of self-discovery and how it shaped my needs and desires. During one gathering, I told my friends, "I want to be more open about who I am and what I need from you all." The response was heartfelt, with many expressing appreciation for my honesty, which formed a solid foundation for our relationships. One of the most rewarding shifts came when I invited my friend Mia to join me in an art class. She had always harbored an interest in painting, but had kept it hidden. Being aware of her passion, I encouraged her, and together we dove into the world of color and creativity. The environment encouraged bold experimentation, where every imperfect stroke became a statement of joy. With laughter and camaraderie, I experienced the liberation of expressing our authentic selves on canvas. The art sessions turned into a sanctuary, a safe space where we could embrace our imperfections and celebrate our creativity. Our bond deepened. We reveled in the joy of being vulnerable together, fostering connections that transcended superficial exchanges. As I continued to engage with my friendships, I recognized that practicing freedom involved authentic actions and courageous choices. I consciously sought out opportunities to set boundaries that honored my needs, a practice that was both challenging and empowering. One memorable moment came when a coworker asked for assistance on a project just as I was preparing to leave for a personal commitment. Instead of immediately agreeing, I paused and firmly stated, "I can't help this time, but I'm happy to support you in the future." Surprisingly, I felt relief wash over me. Asserting my boundaries became a powerful act of self-respect. As weeks passed and my connections deepened, I began to appreciate the richness of relationships grounded in mutual understanding and support. Each communication, infused with honesty, transformed our interactions into layers of trust, respect, and joy. I discovered that love does not thrive on conditions. Rather, it flourishes in an environment that embraces authenticity and acceptance. Moreover, I devoted time to self-care rituals that nourished my body and spirit. Incorporating yoga into my routine became not just exercise, but a means to recharge and reconnect with my inner self. Movement unlocked a flow of energy and clarity, reinforcing my awareness of the importance of self-acceptance. My creative pursuits and self-care practices acted as touchstones, reinforcing the belief that I was worthy of love and respect. Gradually, I noted that I was no longer constricted by the fear of judgment or the need to please others. Instead, I felt empowered to embrace who I truly was, allowing me to celebrate imperfections as part of my journey. Reflecting on these transformative actions, I recognized that freedom was not a destination, but an evolving practice that required continual engagement. Each day unfolded like a canvas, presenting new opportunities for expression and growth. I learned to celebrate small victories, recognizing how even minor shifts could lead to significant changes. Every moment spent practicing freedom became a powerful testament to my journey. I engaged deeply with my creative side, welcomed heartfelt conversations with friends, and advocated for myself with newfound courage. Each action reaffirmed the essence of who I was becoming, nurturing my identity in ways that felt both authentic and liberating. Standing gracefully in this new chapter, I felt a profound sense of fulfillment emerging from the courage I had cultivated. The blend of my past experiences and present actions created a vibrant mosaic, celebrating authenticity in a world that often imposes conformities. With each step I took in this practice of freedom, I glowed with a sense of purpose, ready to embrace both the challenges of life and the joys of each relationship I nurtured. The journey promised new lessons, illuminating possibilities that extended far beyond any limitations I had once believed. This was my opportunity to conduct the symphony of my life, a melody entwined with resonant truths and creative expression. Embracing authenticity, I stood steadfast as a living testament to resilience and transformation, ready to embark on an ever-evolving journey through the beauty of life, where I practiced freedom and love in every facet of my existence. No longer confined by the shadows, I chose to live boldly and celebrate my full identity, open to what lay ahead. As summer unfolded, I stood on the precipice of transformation, recognizing the beauty in my evolving identity. This journey had shifted from mere healing to an empowering celebration of authenticity. Each step taken in embracing my true self filled me with an overwhelming sense of fulfillment and joy. In the weeks following my commitments to honesty and openness, my relationships flourished. Friends often noted a shift in my energy. "You seem different, more vibrant," Mia observed, her sincerity mirroring the light I felt within. These affirmations reinforced the growth I was experiencing, a blossoming love for myself that radiated outward. With the sun shining brightly on a warm Saturday, I decided to host a gathering. a celebration of our intertwined journeys. I meticulously set a vibrant table with fresh flowers and prepared culinary delights, eager to curate an atmosphere filled with joy and creativity. As my friends arrived, laughter and affection enveloped us, creating an intimate space to honor our authentic selves. During dinner, I took a moment to express my gratitude for their encouragement throughout my journey. "Thank you for being part of this adventure," I said, my heart brimming. The warmth radiating from them affirmed the depth of our connection, a testament to the resilience we all shared. Later, we engaged in various creative activities, painting, crafting, and sharing stories. In this environment of freedom and expression, we celebrated our unique identities, fostering deeper connections. I invited them to embrace their creativity, encouraging vulnerability and joyful exploration as we created together. In the months that followed, I dove deeper into my own passions and encouraged friends to do the same. I organized art nights, inviting others to engage in their interests. Each session became a safe haven where we could share our aspirations, reflecting our journeys while supporting one another in exploring creativity. My friend Mark, who had long tucked away his love for music, finally found the confidence to share his compositions at an open mic night. Hearing him perform ignited pride within me. It was a reminder of the power that authenticity holds over the fear of judgment. As I committed to showing up authentically, I ran into moments of challenge, yet each encounter reinforced my resolve. I began to practice setting boundaries with grace, ensuring that my needs were met without guilt. During a particularly busy work week, when a colleague sought my assistance for a project, I gently declined, saying, "I can't take that on right now, but I appreciate you thinking of me." This assertion felt liberating, affirming my choice to place my needs alongside those of others. Moreover, my journey of creative expression was enriched by my writing. I chronicled my experiences, delving deeper into the themes of identity and healing. Each story I penned acted as a reminder of my resilience and the growth I had cultivated. Sharing these narratives with friends further strengthened our bonds, inviting meaningful dialogues about the complexities we navigated together. Throughout this transformative period, I learned to embrace the messiness of life. I realized that perfection was not the goal. Rather, the beauty lay in our shared imperfections. By accepting myself wholly, I encouraged others to do the same, creating an environment where love flourished without conditions. As summer continued to blossom around me, I felt a renewed sense of purpose. I was no longer confined by past fears or societal expectations. Instead, I stood confident in who I was becoming. The journey of authenticity had woven a legacy of healing, compassion, and understanding, one that encouraged and celebrated the intricate stories of everyone around me. In these moments of reflection, I realized the power of connecting deeply with others through honesty and vulnerability. This legacy of healing was not only mine, but a shared tapestry, crafted through the encouragement we offered each other. Each small action reaffirmed our interconnectedness, illuminating the beauty of our collective experiences. As I closed the chapter of summer, I stood poised and ready for what lay ahead. A commitment to continue embracing creativity, nurturing relationships, and living authentically. This journey was marked by freedom, joy, and an unwavering belief in the possibilities that awaited. Empowered by my past and excited for my future, I took a deep breath. I was prepared to navigate the uncharted waters of life, fully embracing my identity and celebrating every moment. The summer of transformation ignited within me a flame I intended to carry forward, a testament to resilience, authenticity, and the boundless love that blossoms when we embrace our fullness.